hold on 1 second though. We saw this crazy interview recently with Cristiano Ronaldo getting interviewed by Piers Morgan, by the way, avid Arsenal fan. So big up Piers Morgan for the support. But switching back to Ronaldo in this discussion because he is clearly the main point of discussion in, I would say, the world of football at the moment. Bitter breakup with Man United, it's seeming like. He has gone on this interview and has pretty much gone through his feelings about himself towards the club, and it is not looking good. I know last season we had a fallout at Arsenal in the form of Aubameyang, but nowhere near comparable to this fallout. Ronaldo, historically a Man United legend. Well, we'll get into if he is still that in the eyes of current supporters, but Ronaldo obviously getting his name, obviously making his name at the club, at Man United from a young age, and coming back to the club. All the fans were excited, happy to see their beloved idol Cristiano Ronaldo return to help carry them back to where they belong. But this is not looking like a promising end for him at the club at all. And I do want to run by a couple quotes that he had mentioned throughout the interview that I think are very important.
Yeah.
First one. All right, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Sorry. Before you get into each individual quotes, the latest person to go on Piers Morgan's whatever it's called, uncensored 90 minutes, whatever. Kanye West. I'm just gonna put it at that. Need I say much? Another narcissist who's been in in serious trouble in recent times. And now I'm not comparing what Kanye West has done to what Ronaldo's done. I think it just shows you the levels that Ronaldo has gone down to. And Piers Morgan, another narcissist himself. And I want to ask him, would you take Ronaldo at Arsenal right now?
Hell no.
I know you wouldn't. I want to ask this question to Piers Morgan. Would you take Ronaldo?
Well, he's answered that on Twitter.
He
He
did, and
said
he
yes.
said, he said Jesus and Ronaldo will win them the league. He's the only one. Him and Ronaldo are the only ones that think that way in this world right now.
No, there's nobody in this world that can take anything from what Ronaldo has accomplished in his career to up to this point. Now, why go on this interview and pretty much tarnish that entire record that you've done? But even that, I want to ask you, before we even get into the quotes, is this more of a bad rep or just bad publicity for Ronaldo or for Man U as a club? Because he did call out a lot of negatives about Man U.
Which is fine. We everyone knows that. There's a reason why we're not challenging, we haven't been challenging for the last 10 years. No investment, famously, in the stadium. Our training ground has fallen backwards, while Leicester, with the 80 million pounds we gave them, built a state-of-the-art training center. There's no denying in what he said. And I'm not, the message, that part of his message, 100% correct. He was right to call out those, I guess, stagnation in the club, right to call out the owners. I think there's another quote. He said, the owners don't care about the club. They don't. And we all know that. And had it stopped there, I don't think this would have been any problem. I mean, maybe problems from the executives, from the club. But had he stopped there, I guarantee you, majority of the fans, United fans, I'm talking, would have had no problem with what he said. But he didn't come out to say this for the club's sake. I think the problem is He's clearly come out and said this for his own sake, and he's gone about it terribly wrong because none of it makes sense right now. It's just a lot of people say look at the message, not the messenger. I mean, the timing, the message that he sent out, it just doesn't make sense.
Let's dive into it. Cristiano Ronaldo was asked by Piers Morgan if he felt as if he was being forced out by the club. Now, he said yes, he felt betrayed and he does feel like he's being forced out. Do you, as a fan, think that he's also being forced out?
You asked me a week ago, was Ten Hag right to give him the captaincy? That doesn't scream to me that the manager's trying to force him out. And now you ask me, are we forcing him out? Let's go back 3 months. There was a bombshell report right as we were about to hop on the plane to, I think it was Thailand for preseason. He said he wants to leave. So, talking about, I feel forced out, you're the one who wanted to leave in the first place for whatever reason, for no lack of, for the lack of Champions League football, for the lack of success on the pitch, whatever it is, you're the one who wanted to leave. And as you know, I'm an avid American football fan. I was enjoying my Sunday, right? Great win against Fulham. My teams were performing well, my fantasy teams, that is. And there was a little bit of break in between the game slots. So I go on my phone and I get this notification saying, Ronaldo, I feel betrayed. I think every single United fan in the world should be saying that right now, not the man himself.
So you really feel more hurt at Ronaldo rather than the fact that Man U haven't been able to progress since he's left the club.
I don't think that's the issue right now, whether we've progressed as a club or stagnated as a club. I really don't think that's the issue right now. The issue is this guy has taken it himself. I guess him and his entourage think this is the way to go about it, and it looks like he might get it. He might be released. I think we're just gonna have to be forced to let him go. It's all about himself. And when I saw the reports of him going to City last year, right? I was like, I mean, at this stage, it makes more sense for him to go to City. And would it have tarnished his legacy had he gone to City? Maybe. But in the end, with the persuasion from the so-called club legends like Rio, Evra, Sir Alex Ferguson, he came back. But this guy is all about himself right now. Him talking about the club not improving, not progressing, that's a load of BS. He does not give one fuck about the club. If he did, he would not be saying this stuff right now. So that message doesn't ring anything to me right now.
You mentioned Sir Alex Ferguson, and I want to track back to the day that he let David Beckham, or sorry, I should say, I want to track back to the transfer window where he let David Beckham leave the club. And in that quote, he had said, the moment a player thinks that they're bigger than the manager is the day that they have to go. What does that say to you about Ronaldo?
I think it's bang on. I think that should apply right now. I don't know how he plans on looking at him in the face. He's the one who nurtured him. Remember, he first came to our club, what, 16, 17 years ago. He was being criticized every single game he played because he didn't know how to, like the way you criticize Nunes, he didn't know how to play with the team. It looked like he was just there to showboat. And it was only until 2, 3 years into his time here where he actually flourished. And for him, I, I would feel like I've been stabbed at the back, or I would feel like I've been stabbed in the back. For him to come out and make this kind of statement, would he have done this if Sir Alex Ferguson was still the manager? I highly doubt it.
Well, maybe things wouldn't have been this way if Sir Alex Ferguson was the manager.
Well, yes. So I'm saying in a vacuum situation, if the manager wasn't Erik ten Hag and it was actually Ferguson, there's no way in hell he's making this kind of statement.
Well, he did make a negative statement to a former teammate of his, one that he used to link up with exceptionally back. Sorry. One that he used to link up with exceptionally back in the day, Wayne Rooney. Seems like them two are kind of having a bit of a clash. He said, I don't know why he criticizes me so badly. Probably because he finished his career and I'm still playing at a high level. Kind of similarly to what you're saying about him just really looking at himself. I'm not going to say that I'm looking better than him, which is true. I'm not going... Why add that? I mean, why bother add that?
I mean, that just shows you what his thought process is. Just, I mean, such a low blow for a 37, 38-year-old top professional.
Unnecessary.
Just unnecessary. And that just kind of goes back to what I was saying, where what Rooney said, I mean, it's not like he told Ronaldo to go kill himself. It wasn't anything like that. Rooney simply just said, and this is the reaction and the aftermath to Ronaldo himself refusing to come on and leaving the pitch before the game was over. Rooney has simply gone on and said, I think United need to get rid of Ronaldo. And I think the week before, Gary Neville said something along those lines, and we saw Ronaldo refusing to acknowledge him, another of one of his former teammates. Now, apparently, Ten Hag gave him an option to come back to the first team on the basis that he apologizes to the team, which I am assuming he did because he came back. Now, I'm going to ask you, does that look like a behavior from someone who actually believes that he was at fault for leaving the game early, for not refusing to come on? Because to me, that doesn't. To me, that screams, I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you guys criticizing me? You guys should always be worshiping me. I'm the greatest player ever, which he is up there, right? In terms of his career, what he's done. But he's 37 now. Every single player goes through this cycle. He's just not that good anymore. I mean, let's face it. He just isn't.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, again, like I said earlier, there's no denying what the man has done in his career for Man United, wherever he's played, actually. But as a professional, in anything, in any industry, you don't even have to be an athlete. You have to have respect. You have to go about your business in a professional manner. And Ronaldo, as the superstar that he is, has got to be setting a better example, not just for his team and his teammates, not for other aspiring professional footballers, but for people around the world. Do you know that this guy is the most followed person, not athlete, not footballer, person on Instagram? That means just from an Instagram standpoint, I don't even have Instagram. I don't even use Instagram. So it's not even counting people like me who know him. There are almost 500 million people who follow this guy. And so you're telling me that what he does is not going to have an impact on those people in how they think? They're going to think, oh, Ronaldo does it. He's the greatest ever, which means I'm going to have to act like that. I'm going to get to act like that. And it's like, can't work like that. You can't be setting that kind of example for people who look up to you, who worship you. As you said, use the word worship. If you want people to worship you, be someone who deserves worship. I know worship is a very strong word, but you get my point, right? I just want to use
Right,
back that word because you used it, but
right.
I mean,
And
go ahead.
let you go.
No, I was gonna switch topics to Ragnik, so go ahead.
Yeah. And yeah, like to your point, I I'm one of those who used to admire him. I mean, I'm not a footballer or anything like that. I'm just a normal average Joe, just working my job. But this guy is someone, his work ethic, his dedication, his professionalism, which was one of the things ironically praised so far in his career. I admire those things. For him to bow out like this, I'm just gonna say I hope Messi wins the World Cup this year.
Nah, you need to hope South Korea win the World Cup, bro. But but anyways,
That
though.
that's like saying I hope Arsenal win the Champions League, which is never gonna happen. So
Hey, 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 hey. We can revert back to this episode next season. We can make like a little remix after, you know what I'm saying?
oh, we can revert to it in 100 years. I think this statement will still ring true.
I can't wait till next season when we have a remix of this episode. Yo, anybody who can remix any video editing remixes, please reach out, DM us because I want to make a hilarious ass video with that comment. But moving on though, his criticism on Ragnik. I know we can sit here and talk about the fact that Ragnik maybe didn't get the results that could back his credentials, but this is a bit disrespectful in my eyes. I just don't think it was necessary. Ragnik is not at the club anymore. It just wasn't. It's not. It's just uncalled for. That's really it. And I'll read you here the quote. If you're not even a coach, how are you going to be the boss of hashtag MUFC? Or should I just say it? Actually, Manchester United. If you're not even a coach, how are you going to be the boss of Manchester United Football Club? I'd never even heard of him. A big club like Manchester United bringing in a sporting director like Ragnick surprised not only me, but all of the world. This guy is not even a coach. And I do want to look at this quote again, though. Like you brought up earlier, look at the message, not the messenger. I want to look at this with a bit more clear eyes. Yes, this comment was very uncalled for, but I don't think that this comment is being perceived correctly by the general media. I don't think that this is necessarily an attack on Ragnick. I think it's just to raise the fact that Man United as an institution, as an establishment, they are not taking their stuff seriously. If they are one of the biggest clubs in world football, they're honestly probably one of the biggest sporting establishments in the world, regardless of what sport you look at. They should be able to bring in somebody with the credentials, with the quality, with the ability, with the skills to be able to carry through the values and the targets that Man United requires. And you're bringing in somebody who's not even what's the word I'm looking for, like titled for that.
Was not even qualified. I don't
Yeah.
know.
You're bringing in someone who's not even technically qualified for this position. It does seem like a strange move. I think the way he said it, though, maybe could have been better.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he was. I mean, maybe he was. Who knows? I don't think he was trying to take a dig at Rangnick himself. Like you, I view it as an extension of his criticism of the club and the ownership and the management. I mean, it was a bizarre decision, made even more bizarre by the fact that he ended up not becoming the sporting director, which was his main duty in his previous clubs. But again, I just want to buy this from Ronaldo right now. It was a poor decision from the club. I'm not denying that. I agree with what he said. I don't think. I mean, you look at Chelsea 2 years ago. They bring in Tuchel, and they win the Champions League. Maybe not the best example because he's just gotten sacked. But case in point, Tuchel is a competent manager who actually delivered for them that season. And I don't know. I guess maybe bringing back Ronaldo was another poor decision from the management, from the ownership. Maybe this is hindsight. I don't know. I thought at that time bringing in Ronaldo was maybe not the right move, but I didn't think it was a wrong move. But what is turning out to be right now, it was a wrong move. And I think Ronaldo is struggling to deal with that. The fact that he's considered a wrong move now. Whereas you go back even 2-3 years, he was at the pinnacle of his game. I can understand he wants to maintain his status. He still thinks he has the ego, which is probably what took him that far. But come on, man. You gotta just look at yourself in the mirror. Look on YouTube, your highlights from this season. Even a 5-year-old baby could tell you that you're not the same old self as 5 years ago when you were winning the Champions League with Madrid back to back to back. I think he's just struggling to deal with that right now.
Looking at the current manager, Ten Hag, he definitely had a swipe at him. And I think this was a way more clear swipe than the one at Ragnick. The quote says, "I don't have respect for him because he doesn't show respect for me." End quote. Now, we don't know what happens behind the scenes, but from an outsider perspective, from a fan's perspective, are there any clear indicators that you would say, yo, Ronaldo was disrespected by Ten Hag?
Again, we don't know the full story. I think there's going to be more released later in the week from this interview. But we often say when there's a disagreement, when there's an argument, we often say, let's hear both sides. Right? We can't just hear one side and make a judgment off of that. But I don't think I've ever seen any dispute or disagreement or drama that's as clear as day as this one, where one side hasn't done anything wrong. Again, we don't know, right? We don't know the full story but from what we know so far, everything that we've seen, everything that we've heard, there wasn't any sort of disrespect that was handed to Ronaldo by the manager. I really want to ask him what he meant by the disrespect he received from the manager. And maybe we'll find out later in the week. Who knows? But even if you find out, I have a feeling it's going to be one of those contorted, twisted, ego-filled instances where he thinks he was in the right when he technically wasn't. So, I mean, this was the worst bunch of a lot of those quotes. From what we saw, from what we've seen, what we've heard, the manager hasn't done anything wrong.
Yeah, he can't get angry at just simply not playing. Well, I guess you could if you were really scoring every week and you were clearly improving your team or having a positive impact on your team. But it is clear to see that he just currently isn't doing that. And I think if he were to play him, even if you're on such bad form and you're not helping the team, then I think you're actually going to be disrespecting the club. And as a manager, right? You're going to be disrespecting the club. You're going to be disrespecting the other players. You're going to be disrespecting the fans, especially. And I don't think it's in Ten Hag's best interest to disrespect the collective over the individual.
Yeah, just because you've done things in the past doesn't necessarily mean you deserve special treatment. I don't think that way, at least. And I know this guy, Rio, I just hate listening to this guy. This guy sounds delusional half the time. This guy comes out defending Ronaldo again, saying Ronaldo deserves special treatment, and this was clearly due to just a lack of communication. What? And I understand why he's saying those things because Ronaldo could have easily gone to City and added a Premier League title, maybe even a Champions League title to his resume. And due to Rio and his friends, his old teammates, he came to United. And I guess Rio, again, I don't know his mind, but I guess he doesn't feel compelled or doesn't feel like he's in a position to criticize Ronaldo when he's the one who put himself, or I should say, he's the one who put Ronaldo in that situation. But I mean, come on. I, I mean, I don't even know what to say.
I really want to touch on this last quote here. He says, I love Manchester United. I love the fans. They're always on my side. But if they want to do it different, they have to change many, many things. Do you feel as though this was a point for him to kind of just end things to almost ensure that he doesn't lose touch with at least part of the fan base? Or do you think he was being truly genuine with that statement?
I have a hard time believing that he's caring for the club right now.
Or the
He's
fans?
or the fans, yeah. He's called himself a victim of slavery uh, before he moved to Real Madrid, that is. And I have a feeling later on in the years down the line, a lot of people will forget about it and they'll go back to loving Ronaldo, which is, I think it's just natural course of how the fans react, how the fans perceive. I mean, he was a legend, and maybe he still is. I don't know. But at this stage, right now, he's got it absolutely wrong. Him saying all the fans are going to be behind him, well, that makes me not a fan then, because I'm not behind him. A lot of the fans that I know are not behind him. That must make them not a fan of the club. I don't know what his thought process was coming out with this interview. I don't know what he was looking to gain. Well, I know what he was looking to gain. He's trying to move. He's trying to leave the club. Hence the timing as the Premier League has come to a halt. But you've got it massively wrong. And I was willing to forego a lot of the things that he's said and he's done, which as a fan, you're more likely to do, right? All the drama that he's put up this season so far through the poor performances that he's put in on the pitch, I was willing to just let it go, just brush it off as this guy who I watched him dominate the game of football for such a long time has now finally hit the stage of that decline that everyone's going to face. And it was sad to see. Now I don't have an inkling of sympathy anymore for the guy. And that's why I said I hope Argentina wins the World Cup to solidify Messi's, I guess, status as the greatest ever player that's played this game. So go Argentina.
And fuck Ronaldo, I guess. So, I mean, I was gonna ask a kind of wrap up question, but it seems as if you've answered it. Can he? Well, okay. I was gonna ask can he or should he, but sounds like he already answered should he. So, do you think that he could ever play for Man United ever again, or is it finished for him?
I think everybody knows that it's done. Ronaldo knows what he's doing. He's not a 5-year-old kid, even though he might behave like one. He knows what he's doing. There's no coming back from this. He knows it. The club knows it. The manager knows it. there's no way back. And if there is, that will be a shame because he seriously undermined the manager, the club, and everybody else in the club, and the fans, most importantly.
Listeners, we want to hear it from you. Man, all the Man United fans, go ahead and send us a DM on Facebook or leave a comment on one of the posts. Let us know what you think about this whole Ronaldo situation. Are you behind him or are you more behind the club? And also let us know, do you think that he's ever going to put on a Man U shirt and represent for them ever again? Or is his time at the club officially over? That's about all we have time for today. So